Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast with myself and the star of the show, Coach Santa, sitting right there, right across from me, right on the other side. As you can see, he's been working on his air drum and his mixed in with little martial arts hand gestures, and he's got it all together. And starting the show in quite kind of a somber mood. The Eagles are no longer undefeated. We're going to get into that.
Moment of silence.
There it is.
Okay.
And we got some Philly stuff to talk about too. The winter is upon us when it comes to baseball and the MLB. So a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to think about. And of course, we want to hear your opinions too. Hit us up 669. Actually, I should probably turn the phone lines on if I'm going to do that. 669-275-0323. That's 669-275-0323 is the number to call to join us and give us your opinions, your thoughts on some of the things that we'll be talking about today on the Check Swing Podcast. But as I like to start off every show when we get into it, I like to say how you been. So Miguel, how you been, brother?
I have been cold.
Well, stay away from me.
No. I don't have a cold. Sorry. I've been cold. It's freaking freezing. My arthritis is in full gear today as the temperatures are now 36 degrees Fahrenheit of the height, and it's annoying. I used to love the cold growing up. Used to love wearing lots of jackets, but since I turned 35 and developed arthritis, I think I need to start looking for a warm weather city.
This cold that we're feeling right now is a different type of cold. Like this is like winter type cold without it being winter yet.
Correct.
This is not fall cold. Fall cold is like 50 degrees, low 60s with a chill, 50s, something like that. But we're looking at 40s right now. At least I know up here we are. I'm pretty sure down there you're not too far away if it's any different. But what the problem is, in my non-professional weatherman self, what the problem is the wind. It's the wind.
It's the wind, yeah.
And I've always said I have no issues with the cold. I have no issues with the wind. But it's when you put those two elements together at the same time, that's where the problem for me comes in. And as I'm sure you are well aware, and I will make you well aware, and you will probably laugh, all workouts this week were canceled because of that. Because I was not going to be out there in the cold and have those kids out there in the cold, knowing that some of them wouldn't even be dressed appropriately for the cold.
You couldn't have chosen like an indoor.
Working on it.
Okay.
I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I've been working on it since September.
Understood.
Been working on it since September. So yeah, a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening, man. It is cold, but we're dealing with it. And it just is what it is. Miguel, I wanted to get your opinion on this. And just because I know how you feel about basketball and basketball players and all like that. But this really has nothing to do with the sport itself. My question to you does not have anything to do with the sport. More so has something to do with the comment and the what would you say I guess the meaning behind the comments that were made. I'm looking for it right now. I'm trying to stall. Here we go. So one of my favorite players in the NBA, Kevin Durant, even though he plays for, one of the rival teams of the Sixers. So he was asked recently about, some of the struggles with the Nets and some of the struggles that they're encountering and all like that. And as you know, Kyrie Irving is suspended or not with the team right now, whatever his status is right now. But they're asking him about the struggles, and he said, look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there. So I didn't when he made the comments, I didn't see the press conference. I didn't see it. But when I first saw the comments, I thought, man, this guy, that's an a-hole move. But then when I had some time to dwell on it, I started thinking some other things. But I don't know if you heard the comments already, if this might be your first time hearing the comments, but what is your initial reaction to that statement from Kevin Durant?
I mean, here's my thing. It goes back to, I don't know why, but it reminds me of the saga with Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb, or Terrell Owens and all the quarterbacks that he's played for. If you're trying to build something, you can say publicly that you're frustrated with how things are going, but you got to keep that in the locker room. And I was looking at some of the comments further that he actually talks about requesting a trade, and he says it wasn't difficult at all to request a trade because it was about ball. I went to them and was like, "Yo, I don't like how we are preparing. I don't like shoot arounds. I like practices. I need more. I want to work on more S word. Hold me accountable. Get my bleep on film if that's what's going to help everybody else." So, I mean, I get it from that standpoint, but it's like you can't. When I think of teams that are in the playoffs and teams that are competing in championships and winning championships, I can't think of, there may be a handful on one hand where you hear stuff like this. You know what I mean? He's frustrated. He, I mean, and he's not talking about the whole. That's not including the whole Ben Simmons situation. You know what I mean?
That's
So
a whole nother topic there.
that's a whole other topic there. And I think basketball in general is, I mean, plain and simple, it's a players' league. So pretty much players are running the show. So I don't want to say that basketball or the NBA is less about being a team and just kind of building a super team like LeBron has, kind of, sort of, which I don't blame him for. However, what is the coach going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
so
even with the whole Kyrie situation, like the coach, and even the I mean, he wasn't suspended by the Nets. He was suspended by the league. Because I think even with Kyrie's situation, when he went and had a meeting with the owner, who's Asian, after the meeting was done, the owner was like, "I stand with Kyrie." So it's like, it's a players' league. So I'm not surprised, but when I hear the comment, I just don't hear like a championship mentality.
yeah, I mean, well, so like I said, when I first read the comment, saw the comment, heard the comment, I said, "Wow, like wow, he went there, right?"
Mhm.
But then I had to take a step back and I had to really think about the situation, think about what was being said, and really think about the overall makings of the NBA today, right? So, that is always usually one of what he said is usually things that you do not hear players say, right? But when you think about today's world and today's NBA, and like you said, you got the super team, like LeBron had super teams around him. You got the super team of, some people considered the Golden State Warriors a super team when Kevin Durant was there. Um, Boston Celtics back in the early 2000s, super team, the big three. When you have that situation, since then you don't have a lot of teams making the finals that aren't super teams, in a sense. But what I really thought about was how we have reporters, we have the talking heads, the ESPNs, the FS1s, we have the talking heads that will say when LeBron was struggling in Cleveland. Well, he's got nothing around him. When Dwight Howard was struggling in Orlando, he's got nothing around him. When whatever the case, whoever the athlete may be, they don't have anything around them. So why is it okay for the reporters to make that claim and people like us to make those claims, but when the player himself says it, all of a sudden, are we really worried about all the other players' feelings at that moment? Like we kind of say you don't say that type stuff because those are your teammates, this, that, and the third, whatever, whatever, which is true. But if other people are saying it, then it's no secret, right? When LeBron didn't have anything around him in Cleveland, and henceforth decided to leave Cleveland, everybody was saying he has nothing around him. He's carrying the team. He has nothing around him, but he carried the team to the final. But if he said it, he gets flack for it. Is it fair for these guys to catch flack for seeing and saying the same things that we're seeing and saying? Is that really fair? Is that out of bounds? Should they just keep their mouth shut?
It's it's not about keeping your mouth shut. You're trying to keep the chemistry. There's a reporter that always says, a famous Philly reporter that says, chemistry doesn't mean anything in the locker room. And you and I both know from our years and years of coaching, chemistry is a good portion of it. Because when you don't have, so compare the situation with the Eagles, the Super Bowl run, right? You lost your all pro tackle, you lost your all pro special teamer, you lost your potential MVP quarterback, and you still not only made it to the Super Bowl, but won the Super Bowl and beat a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you heard stories years and years later that Carson Wentz was actually upset during the run because the team was winning without him. Now, could you imagine had he popped off in the paper during the run and said those things?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about keeping your mouth shut for the sake of just play football and shut up.
Well,
Sometimes you have,
see,
but
in that situation,
you got to suck it up, and
right?
you got
In
to
that
make those
situation, yeah.
so what he should have done was like, listen, I know what they're saying out there. We got to figure out a way to work together. And when I mean, if you want to just say I don't like shoot arounds, I just want to get to practice. Da 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 da. I don't like the way we're doing things. Like that's even that's kind of borderline. But when you're saying that, and you put names to it, you're saying this guy, and this guy is who I got, and I'm the only person that can provide a winning opportunity. Yeah, it's a jerk move because now if I'm one of the guys that is not, a Kyrie or whatever, I'm a B or C player. I'm supposed to play with you. I'm supposed to be all, yeah, man. I'm with KD. I'm so KD. I'm gonna buy his sneakers. I'm gonna buy his drawers. Like you dig what I'm saying? Like how and
Yeah,
it builds an atmosphere of discontent
it
versus
does.
just
But let me
yeah.
ask you this: this summer, KD came out and said he wanted to be traded. He didn't get traded. So knowing that the guy already did not want to be there, right? You already know he doesn't want to be there. You already know why he doesn't want to be there, and basically, he kind of told you why in this statement. Um, is it still out of bounds? Like I mean, the contentment is already there. He has to be traded in the summertime. So you're coming back into the situation where you
Right.
don't want to be. There's got to be some contentment already there,
Well,
in my opinion.
he can say whatever he wants now because at this point he's just trying to get he's trying to, and this get again goes to a championship mentality. there are certain players that make other people around them better, and then there's just players that play ball. Okay,
Yes.
Kobe Bryant made players around him better because he had a goal of winning a championship. I know you're going to hate this analogy. Allen Iverson played ball.
Yeah. No,
Didn't
I
make
agree. I
didn't
agree.
make anybody around him better.
Right.
Yet they both have kind of the same thing. And remember, AI, we talking about practice. You dig what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it still goes back to KD kind of set the atmosphere by demanding the trade.
Yes.
He still wants out. So rather than sit tight and look pretty, the ego in him is saying, now I want out because I got these crap ballers around me. And I'm the only reason why Brooklyn is even on the map.
Well, yeah, I can't disagree with what you said there, but he wanted out even when it was Kyrie was expected to play
He wanted out the last 2 years in a row.
over the summer. He wanted
But
out.
didn't he push for the trade to Brooklyn and then
He
try and
signed
then
as a free agent
right,
with after his Golden State tenure was up.
right. I remember that.
Kyrie, I don't remember if Kyrie was traded from Boston to the Nets or if he left or what. I forgot what that situation was. People out there that are checking us out right now, you can hit us up in the comments, hit us up on the phone lines, and remind me. But Kyrie I think, pushed for KD to be there, or KD pushed for Kyrie to be there, knowing that he was probably going to sign there. Um, but you got, one thing I think that KD was not thrilled about was Ben Simmons coming to the Nets. I do not think he was a big fan of that move. I don't think and there's a couple of reasons why I feel that way, but I don't think he was a fan of that move. I think if he was a fan of that move, he definitely wouldn't have asked for a trade over the summer. If he was a fan of that move, um, you probably didn't watch this, but when they had the All Star selection show, or when they picked the teams or whatever they do, and it
I
was
saw
KD
that.
and LeBron, um, you did see it
Hmm.
when they mentioned James Harden. They mentioned the James Harden and Ben Simmons thing, and KD was just like stone faced and just really did not really have much to say about it. Like you could tell he was not happy about it. Um, so when an organization see the funny thing is most of us that watch these guys um play their sports. We watch them work their craft. Most of us have not played that sport. Well, damn near none of us has played that sport to that level, right? So when you're in the locker room, like when you're in high school, college, middle school, little league, you don't think about how everybody on your team is an individual. And if you get along with them, you get along with them. If you don't, you don't. There will be people that you do not care for, and there will be people that you love to death. But they're your teammates, so you always want to protect them. Now, at this level, in the professional level, in this day and age, all these guys are really their own entity now. Like professional sports is not what it was in the 80s and 90s. Professional sports in the 80s and 90s was the sport. You're the sport, you're the team, do your thing for the team. Now they've kind of gotten away from that, and they're about their brand at this point, which I'm not mad at because there's people making a lot of money off of them. I'm talking about these team owners. They make a lot of money off of them. So to get their just due, they make outside contracts, outside deals, sneaker deals, clothing deals, apparel deals, business deals, whatever the case may be. And the bigger their star shines, the better off they can probably be to support their family and maybe some friends or whatever the case may be afterwards. Now, KD in this situation, if the Nets stink, okay, KD's star does not shine. anymore. He'll always be KD. People will always love KD, but his star will not shine, and that will mess up his dealings outside of basketball because basketball, as we know, doesn't last forever for anybody. LeBron has a whole campaign to get him against Father Time. So, and we know Father Time is undefeated when it comes
especially
down to.
especially with that hairline.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna talk about the brother's
I'm
hairline,
sorry.
man.
I'm
I
sorry.
gotta
I'm sorry. That was a
don't
cheap
look
shot.
like it, but I got a hairline myself that has its own has the mind of its own.
That was a cheap shot. I got to cut down on that. We're heading to Thanksgiving, so sorry.
But when I think about the grand scheme of things, like we tend to, and reporters tend to want the same ideals for today's athlete as the 70s, 80s, 90s athlete. Those days are not here.
Well,
But what I will agree with you is wholeheartedly is that I think basketball is one of those sports where team chemistry is probably basketball is probably one of the biggest sports for team chemistry. Like if you don't have the chemistry, because you got five guys on the court that you need to offense and defense, you need to have that chemistry.
right.
Baseball's a little different. There might be a couple guys in a couple positions here and there where chemistry is important, but all in all, baseball, you're kind of a independent contractor in a sense. Everything you do is individual. Your batting is individual. Your fielding is individual. Um, football is probably the next one where chemistry is very important. But we all know the quarterback controls the ball, and then from there, everything has to go well. Like the quarterback doesn't throw the ball to wide receiver, and then he throws the ball to somebody. Things have to gel a certain way in football, but basketball, things have to gel all the way around for to be successful. Um, and I'll leave it at that because we're going to talk about the Eagles. Hit us up 669-275-0323, 669-275-0323. Heartbreaking. No, it wasn't really heartbreaking. It wasn't really that big a deal, but big loss for the Eagles. Not even that big a loss, but
It wasn't a big loss.
here's why I say it was a big loss. It wasn't a big loss in the grand scheme of things of it put them in a bad situation. It was a big loss because it was a division rival that is, as I said in the beginning of the season, a dangerous team when things are really if all things are popping on all cylinders. They are a dangerous team. A couple years ago, they won the division. Can't forget that. Um,
I can. Sorry, go ahead.
you probably can, but I mean, 2 years off from winning the division. Excuse me, it is what it is. Um, but then it allowed like the Giants only have two losses. So if the Eagles tend to lose another game, if they poop the bed this week against the Colts, boom, you're right there. You're tied up with the Giants now. Or maybe we have the tiebreaker over the Giants because we beat the Cowboys, but it's the same record at that point. And then the Cowboys are right there too, with three losses. No, they three losses. They two. They got three
Yeah,
losses.
three losses. They
They
lost.
lost to us. They lost to the Bucks. They lost to the Packers.
Listen, I am not worried about the Commanders or the Commodores, whatever they want to call themselves, because they always do this every year or every other year. They always beat us. It's a division game. At the end of the day, they're not
Same
Super
beat
Bowl
us
ready.
last year. Yeah, you said every other year. Yeah.
Yeah, just about. And it's always, oh my goodness, this is the loss that's going to set each other's franchise. Man, they got a sexaholic rapist as their owner that's getting ready to get shut down from the league. Um, they got that Carson Wentz turmoil again. Now he's getting ready to come back. Now what do you do with him? Because he's obviously going to come back and muck it up. So I'm not worried about them. And with the Reds, with
You
the
think he's gonna come back? You think they're going? You think Rivera's gonna put him back in there?
no, I don't. And
Okay.
because Rivera, he says things. I mean, he's pretty blunt. Because when I think it was what like 5 or 6 weeks ago, a reporter was like, "What is the issue with your team?" And he's like, "The issue's
Mhm.
at quarterback. Who was the
Mhm.
quarterback at the time?"
Yeah.
So, and he talked about it this week, and I believe he was quoted as saying, the chemistry's there, so I have to evaluate, what's going to be the best course of action for the rest of the season. Wentz ain't
Mhm.
playing now with Heineke, whatever his name is. I don't think he's going to take you very far because there's deficiencies in his game. I think that he kind of took advantage of our bad defensive scheme Monday night because he was what, like 10 for 12 on third down.
Mhm.
We fell asleep on defense, and I'm sorry, but he got lucky on two the non face mask call. And I
Mhm.
get the late hit, quote unquote, but I mean he sold that. I think he just sold it. He did the WWE style and sold it. Whatever.
My,
And what-
my problem with that hit, and if I can just jump in real quick, my
yeah,
problem with that whole situation was the referee did not blow the whistle. The ref did not blow the whistle. If you play to the whistle. He did not blow the whistle. And once Reddick touched him, he looked like he was going to stand up. I don't know when Reddick hit him, it kind of moved him off. I don't know, but
mhm,
looked like he was looking to move more.
right.
And then Brandon Graham came in with this momentum. It ain't like
He didn't blow him up. Like it was literally like he just kind of and he caught him.
he did too much. Now let me put it this way: if the whistle had blown and Brandon Graham did that same thing, I'd have said that was out of line.
Right.
But the whistle had not blown.
Yeah.
So that situation, that I was pretty mad about that situation because the game was still, and it was still anybody's game at that point. Um, the other one was the what they call it, personal foul, and that's on the sideline when CJ, what was his name, CJ, you know what I'm talking about, the D
Mhm.
back, he came over and blew the guy up at the sideline, but he hadn't been out of bounds yet, but they threw a flag on that. But even with all that, the Eagles played terrible.
They did. They
Eagles
absolutely did.
played terrible. They did not play well enough to win. They didn't even play. They didn't even deserve to win
Mhm.
that game. They needed to lose that game by the way they played. I'm gonna just put it to you like that. Defensively, they couldn't stop anything. They were porous. The running defense was porous. They were running all over us. The wide receivers who do this every year, not every year, the wide receivers cooked us. Washington's wide receivers, for whatever reason, they cook us. Okay, I can't put my finger on it, but we get cooked by them. So, and that's one of the things that really, always. And I think I wanted to call you after the game, but I had to work. I wanted to call you after the game and ask you to look at the notes to see if that was one of the games that I said the Eagles were going to lose, the home game against Washington. I think I had a splitting against Washington, but I felt like I think I had as I think I said the home game was the one that we were going to lose against Washington. But I'll give you, you pull that up whenever you
What
can.
week? What week is it?
Week 10. Well, no, that was week. They were 8-0. Yeah, that was week 10 because it was a bye week, so that was week 10.
Now we both had wins.
Both had them winning that game, so I must
Yeah.
have had them losing the first game against Washington. I think I had them splitting with Washington.
Yeah, you did. Actually, we both did.
Okay, so we're getting closer to what our records are saying.
Slightly closer. Yeah, and I'm glad I was glad to hear what AJ Brown had to say. He's like he was tired of the undefeated talk, and sometimes you need to get punched in the mouth to reset stuff. So, and I know, like, getting texts from Cowboys fans and Giants fans, oh, you guys to loss to the Commodores. It's like, you know what? Okay, there's always that one bad loss. We got it out of the way. Now we get to see what this team's really made of.
Yeah,
I think you see what a team's made of after a loss versus a set of wins in a row. So we'll see. We'll see if they clean up the game calling. Because I think too there was one call where um Washington got called for a hold on third down, which could have set them back another 10 yards, but they decided to decline it and they kicked the field goal from like 55 yards.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
I remember.
I think it would have been better to push them back even further, and you know what I mean. But
But they'd
back,
be so good on third down at that point.
yeah, but it would have been third and like 20 something. So I mean, yeah, it might have been a moot point. Gaining yards after that, but it was just it was poorly coached. It was poorly played. So
It's a
we got
bad
it out
game
of the
all the
way,
way around.
huh?
Bad game all the way around for the good guys. But like you said, every other year, if Washington stinks, but they're not terrible, right? They
Right.
they stink, they stink, but they can probably hang with any team in the NFL, but they probably can't close any team out in the NFL.
And at
They
the end of the
closed
day,
us out.
and at the end of the day, they will never win in the playoffs. So
He probably yeah. With I don't believe in Heineke, even though he went toe to toe with Tom Brady and went down to the wire. He did better against Tom Brady than Jalen Hurts did against Tom Brady in his first playoff start. So we'll see. But let us know what you think. 669-275-0323. That's 669-275-0323. Who is the best team in the NFC? Let us know what you think. Very interested in knowing that. Another quick point on the Eagles. If you had to pick one thing out of anything as a reason why the Eagles lost that game, what would you single out?
defense, straight eh, to not be able to stop that quarterback on third down. And like you said, it's a habit. It's like we go into these modes where we sit back and we wait.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he threw that interception in the first half, I think it was all right. There it is. There's the moment. But then we had I think a couple of fumbles, a couple of turnovers, and we were still waiting, sitting back. It doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. It always seems like there's a game or two where we just sit and wait. I mean, we technically
Yeah,
did that. We technically did that in the Super Bowl. I mean, for Tom Brady to throw 600 yards in a loss, you basically were just waiting on that one play, literally the sack at the end, to finally
mm-hmm.
play some defense, and we still almost blew it on the last play.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can remember that last play, and I was just like, it must be the Philly in me, right? It must be the Eagles fan in me. I saw the ball hit the ground, and I knew that was it, but I was just like, it can't be over yet.
I was looking. I swore there was a flag. I swore I was gonna look. I was gonna see that little yellow thing pop up at the bottom left hand of
See,
the.
I didn't think there was a flag, but I thought like the ball bounced and then somebody came over and dove and caught it off the bounce. And
Right.
I thought they were going to try to say that he caught the ball. Like that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for them to try to say he caught that ball
And
because
try to
that
get.
just would have been like the whole
Yeah.
Philly vibe
Yeah.
and the whole Tom Brady goat narrative and all like that. I was just waiting for that, and then boom, it didn't happen. Um, well, that being said, the Eagles they played terrible. They didn't run the ball. I think they ran the ball like twice in the first half,
It
but
was.
they didn't. But I mean, Washington did a great job of controlling the ball in the first
It
half.
did. Absolutely did.
Great job of controlling the ball. That used to be the way to beat Tom Brady was keeping the ball out of his hands.
Mhm.
You control the offense, you control the ball.
And that's why I say like we got to see what happens going forward because usually when a team loses, it's usually like a formula for the rest of the teams going
Yep,
forward.
yep.
So you'll see. All right, how does Hurts and the offense gel after not having the ball for 12 minutes? So it's like now we got to see, and the coaches got to come together and game plan for it.
Yeah, and they're going to Indianapolis where they do a pretty good job running the ball. They got a pretty good running back there. So we got to end. There's no Jordan Davis.
Yeah, but we got a Namdi Sue today.
Who?
Namdi, the guy that stomped on
No, did we really?
yeah,
Now you got me messing the name up.
Not the Kitsu.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was on.
Did not know that.
We
That's what I
signed
get
it.
for not listening to sports radio today.
We
You
signed
know
it.
what's funny about that though? So I'm in a Madden franchise league with some people, and one of the first people I signed out of free agency in the beginning season was an Ndamukong Suh.
It's in Donkey Kong Sue.
Ndamukong. That's how you say. I think that's how you say it.
Something like
Ndamukong Suh.
Donkey Sue.
I
Yeah.
think that's how you say it. I'm thrown because I didn't know. Like I'm gonna look at I'm gonna end the show and like look at it now. Like I didn't know that we signed it. That's great. I mean, free agent. Obviously he's free agent for a reason, but
Right,
it's
but I
another
think
body.
yeah, it's another body, but I think that's more concerning. That's leading me to believe that Jordan Davis is going to be out for an extended period of time, and it seems like Fletcher Cox is he's lost a step or three. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's.
it's time.
I'm wondering if he is conserving, which that's reach. That's me reaching, or if it's just he's not what he was a few years ago. Has he become has is he not that star player? I mean, I'd hate to see what it's like out there without him right now, right? Because he probably still makes a lot of things happen that we don't even really pick up on. But he's not a run stopper. He's not a run stopper. He's more of a pass rusher. And Jordan Davis is the run stopper, and he's on the IR. Avante Maddox is on the IR. They just cut somebody from the practice team to sign someone else, two-time Pro Bowler. Don't have his name in front of me, but we will resume that talk another time because we're going to talk about the team that went to the World Series and did not come away with the championship. We're talking about, of course, the Philadelphia Phillies this year, who, like I said, they came away with the NL National League Championship. Did not have the World Series championship. Unfortunately, came up 2 games short. To what I called a buzzsaw of the Houston Astros, gave them their first loss of the playoffs. Gave them the first 2 losses of the playoffs, technically, but ended up essentially losing that series 4 games to 2. Um, but looking at some of the notes that you put, um, I'm just going to say Dombrowski willing to spend to keep contender. Now we heard something like that a couple years ago, right? We heard something like that. I want to say 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, right before they signed Bryce Harper, they said they're going to spend stupid money, and they did spend stupid money signing Bryce. Not saying that the money was dumb to sign Bryce, but they spent a lot of money on Bryce. Then they signed JT, or I think they signed JT first, then Bryce. But put a lot of money in Bryce, put a lot of money in JT. Then they put a lot of money in Castellanos, put a lot of money in Schwarber. They're probably going to go after Justin Turner. Probably try to put a lot of money out there. You had people opt out, such as Zach Eflin, um, who, by the way, if you haven't seen Black Panther, the Wakanda Forever movie, a friend of mine says Zach Eflin looks like Namor.
Yes, he does. He does.
Definitely does. Um,
Just without the very thick accent.
right, exactly. Zach Eflin opted out. Gene Segura they didn't pick up the option on him. Didi comes off the books. A couple of other people. I think does a Double come off the books?
Yes, Odubel comes off the book. You're
So
basically you're basically freeing up almost I want to say about $20 million on top of the increase of the
salary cap. Oh,
the
there's no
sal-
salary cap.
not
The luxury tax.
the luxury tax. So
Yeah.
that's going to go up another 20 million. So they'll have almost 40 to 50 million to play with.
Where do you want to see that money go? Do you want to see it go to a bat, to a defender, or to a pitcher?
Yes. So so if we look at the World Series, where was and it was the reason why I didn't think the Phillies would make the playoffs. It was the reason why I didn't think the Phillies would win in the playoffs. And I still don't know how they got as far as they did in the playoffs without this thing. But you basically have two starters, three with Ranger. Um, and we had a whole bunch of question marks in our bullpen. And for the last 3 years, we haven't really had a closer. We had Hector Neris, who's now a world champion on the Astros, but he found his role, which is
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you. I do that a lot. I'm sorry. That whole Hector Neris thing, man. He was such when he was with us. It was type of thing where he was either really good
Mhm.
or extremely bad.
But what was the one you remember what changed last year? They took him out of the closer role and they put him
Yeah.
in as the one or two, and that was his role, and that's exactly what he did in Houston.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's
Mhm.
just about knowing what the roles are. You know what I mean? And they pushed our Alvarado into an early role, and he flourished in it up until the last game of the World Series when he, got lit up by Alvarez. And I think that was more of, I think that I don't want to say we got lucky, but I think there was a lot of maneuvering. I think if McLaurin's doesn't tip all of his curveball pitches in that one game, it may have been 4 games to 1.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it was you I said it to or if it was somebody. No, you know what? It was somebody else. But that game was a 5 home run game, 7 home
Mhm.
run. I think it was 7-0, but it was a 5 home run game.
5 home runs.
That felt like at the time, like the last hurrah.
Yeah, because the next night they got no hit. So
Next night they got no hit. And as a lot of people know, like in anything, when you find an easy way to do something that works,
yeah,
but it's not going to work all the time, it's hard to really kind of come back from that.
right,
It's hard. Like you picked up the pitching, you picked up the pitch, you knew what to look for with this one guy. Now the next guy, you're back to your scouting, you're back to your guessing. Um, and it's hard. It's hard to really, readjust your game to certain things. If you're in a basketball court and you know you can beat somebody right all night long, and it's working out for you going to the right all night long because the defender can't go to his left, which would be your right. And then the next night you could have another game against somebody else, and you've been so good going to your right that you got used to it and had so much success with it, and now this defender is stopping you. Now you got to figure out another way to do it, but you spent a whole night doing it one way that worked for you.
right.
So it's kind of a reach for a professional athlete, a professional team. But one of the things I felt like happened with the Phillies, and I mentioned it last week, was what happened to the Phillies all year long. They were hot for a while and they get cold for a while. They get hot for a while and they get cold for a while. And right there at the beginning of the playoffs, they got hot. It was that team that we saw that we were like, wow, if this team can play like this all year, they could win the World Series. And we saw that. We saw, flashes of that during the season.
Mhm.
And then once it came to the playoffs, when it came to the World Series, that that momentum kind of fell back a little bit. Now you can give a lot of credit to the Astros there and their pitching because they have a wonderful pitching staff, and they did a great job against the Phillies. Um, but I feel like if the Phillies were still in the middle of that hot streak, they would have won that series. I really do.
I mean,
Uh,
and they were up 2 games to 1, so
and
they
they
had
were
the
up two
advantage.
games to one,
And
so
and
they
I
had they had opportunity.
the scary part, not only did they break the World Series record for most strikeouts by a team, but it was just the way they were striking. They were striking out on fastballs, like fat fastballs over the plate.
Hmm.
It was almost like they were expecting everything but a fastball in the situation. So I'm not. It could have been fatigue setting in because for some of them, this is the most games they played ever in their life in their
Mm-hmm.
careers.
I think only
So,
Schwarber was the only one that's been to World Series before.
yeah, Schwarber and I think a pitcher, one of the pitchers was in the World Series, I believe. Don't quote me, but um, that's why I think I like the prospects of getting Trey Turner because he fits kind
I
of the.
said Justin Turner, Trey Turner. Excuse me.
Say again.
I said Justin Turner earlier. I meant Trey Turner.
Oh no, yeah, not the redheaded guy that looks like hippie. But I like the prospects of him at the top of the order because he kind of matches what you and I usually like at the top. Your speed guy, but he also has power.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put him there, you move Schwarber down. Even if you move him down to 2, which I think he should be 5th or 6th. But imagine Trey Turner on base with Schwarber, who has a great eye, works counts, works the pitchers. Then you set the table for Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to manufacture runs, and I think you need to have a little bit more speed at the top of the lineup to manufacture runs. Because I said this, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, Schwarber was still hitting home runs, but now he was just hitting solo shots.
Right.
So you can hit solo shots to lead off a game, but we lost 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? And all the stuff you see online, oh my God, look at his exit velo was this. I'm like, yeah, but you're showing all these massive hits with nobody on. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? We're not winning games, so that's why I think that's the advantage that I think having Trey Turner would be over Bogarts because Bogarts has no speed.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'd rather have speed in my lineup. You know me. I
right,
like the speed. Kill him with the speed. Kill him with the athleticism.
but I think if you just get Turner, I mean, yeah, if you were to just get Turner, I think that would be a great upgrade, even slightly above Segura. But I would definitely miss his defense. But I know they're planning on moving Stott over to second. Um, but we need pitching. We need. I would do a 3 or 4 year deal, maybe overpay a little bit for Carlos Rondon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would actually call up Andrew Painter, who was the pitcher of the year last year for the minor leagues. Um, just because he has something special, I think. Um, because I mean, he was averaging 10, 11 Ks in like 5 to 7 inning starts, which is kind of unheard of. So I think in the spirit of letting the kids play, like Harper kind of said Joe Girardi wasn't doing,
Mm-hmm.
why the heck not? You know what I mean? Just give him an extra shot. So if you can add something like that to the rotation, just have him as your number 5 starter, break him in slowly, and see what the kid can do. But we need pitching because I think that ultimately was the deciding factor. And I've always said this. You've always heard me say this, but at the end of the day, great pitching always beats great hitting. Um,
This is true.
and the Astros were just too deep, and we need more depth in pitching.
I'm wondering if Girardi is not the manager. Do we still have Spencer Howard? Not that I'm saying that we should have still
He
have
was
him.
but Spencer Howard was traded last year.
That's what not this past year.
No, last season he was traded.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if we did not have Girardi then, because Girardi,
Oh,
he the Yankee way, the young guys didn't get a lot of play.
yeah, and the way he handled Spencer Howard, but he had to because he's not successful in Texas right now either. So he had this thing where he would be able to throw 100 miles an hour, and by the third inning he was down to 92.
Yeah, his stamina was definitely questionable. I remember the one game where he had to come off the mound to make a play at first base, and he was doing great up until that point. After that, he just had nothing left in the tank, and it was like the third inning, fourth inning when he had to do that. Second inning, something crazy.
So
He had
logically,
nothing left in the tank.
it's like, well, put him in the bullpen, and I think they did that, and it just didn't work, and
But did he have the time? Did he have enough time to really establish himself? That's kind of what I was getting to because With Thompson, he gave young guys a chance and he gave them time to establish themselves. Girardi didn't. Girardi didn't
Right.
do that. It was, you get one shot, Eminem, 8 Mile. You get one shot, maybe two.
Right.
But if
Right.
you're not showing improvement, I'm not putting you in situations.
Yeah, and I think I'm thinking of a player that I coached over the summer, and he just really struggled. But I was like, I can't bench him because I see you know how like you see a certain swing, you're like, man, if he can just get one or two and get out of this streak, he'll be fine. And I think the last like 3 games, he just started tearing it up out of nowhere, and it carried over into the fall when he played for me in the fall. And
Mhm.
I think you need to see you need players at any level need to go through that dip, that bump, the rises and the falls, because they need to know about themselves how to get out of things. That's why that's why I love coaching high school sports, because it's the safest way to do that sort of thing with the young guys, and I think it just helps prepare them for life after high school.
Absolutely. Before we get on to you stumping me, we do want to mention. I do want to talk about one other thing. Harper, Bryce Harper is looks like he's set to get surgery next week to repair his UCL in his arm and his throwing arm, um, and could even have Tommy John surgery. So I will say this, and I'm going to ask your opinion on the whole thing. Tommy John surgery for an outfielder is not necessarily as bad as a Tommy John surgery for a pitcher, right?
True.
And also, I mean, Bryce was brought in here to be an outfielder, but now that the National League has the designated hitter, he could fall into that designated hitter role. I think Schwarber Castellanos was supposed to be in that designated hitter role. It didn't work out that way because of the injuries. And I remember particularly back in, I want to say it was June and July, when Harper hurt his arm. I remember a call in on the radio, and he was saying that, and the Phillies were not really doing all that great at this time. This was before Rob Thompson. And a caller said that, why don't Harper just, the argument was, should Harper get this surgery now, be done for the rest of the year, come back next year fresh, come back next year at the beginning of the year, or should we he wait it out to see what the team can do, possibly World Series run. Of course, we know now that did happen, but possibly make the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen, and then get the surgery in the off season, and then come back halfway through the season. So now we're in a situation where if he gets, the Tommy John or whatever the case may be, it might be a thing where he's coming back halfway through the season. What are your opinions on that situation?
If he doesn't get Tommy John, we're fine. If he does, just get Aaron Judge.
Hmm.
Because then what you could do, you get Aaron Judge and you trade Reese Hoskins. Because then when you can move, you can have Schwarber play first base because he has experience there, or you can put Bryce Harper there, since they've talked about the last like 5 or 6 years of his 32-year contract, he can play first base.
Mhm.
So
Get him there early.
right, and again, if Dombrowski's talking about, well, we may move the needle on the whole salary situation, to stay competitive. Well, put your money where your mouth is, and they've been doing it so far. So, but we need pitching.
We need pitching. The Phillies need pitching. The Phillies need pitching
We
really
need a
bad.
closer.
Definitely need a closer. What happened? You know what? I'm just thinking about some of the Phillies history and what really happened to the closer. We had I can't ever say we ever had the lights out closer, but I mean Brad Litch was lights out for that one season, undefeated. Um, we had Joe Table, Jose Mesa, he was a great closer. It was a really good
Show
closer.
table.
We had
Most saves in Phillies history before Papelbon broke it.
I forgot about Papelbon. I completely forget Papelbon was even a Philly, to be honest with you. It seemed like his time here was so quick.
Well, he had a lot of say. He basically saved every game that he could. That's why he has the most saves in Phillies history. But it was
Mhm.
during that lull after the World Series years. So
Yeah, right. So the team wasn't successful, so you really don't remember it. There was also we had Flash Gordon in there for a little while. Heathcliff Slocum was another one that was pretty good during his tenure here.
he went back.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can go back sometimes. Mitch Williams, we all know and love Mitch Williams. The Phillies
Well,
have had a history of some decent closers.
we know
Just
Mitch
right now,
Williams.
we just can't seem to find one to really take on that role and just dominate.
I was rooting for Sir Anthony Dominguez because I was really hoping he would him or Alvarado, but I think Alvarado is your lefty kind of specialist in late in games. Um,
Yeah, I don't feel like Alvarado is strong enough to be the closer, and what I mean by that is I think he still has some work to do to shore up himself to be consistent, to be more consistent. I mean, he was sent down for a little bit this year and was able to, find himself. But I think Alvarado's kind of in a good spot where he is now, just my
yeah,
opinion. Sir Anthony, I was kind of rooting for him as well to be that guy. And then they brought in Robertson, who I mean, his time here can be extremely forgetful. But I miss the days of the Phillies having a closer that you could just come in and you could just put your coffee on it or you put your drink up, put your beer up, whatever the case may be, and you feel good about it. I miss those days.
yeah.
So those days will be back again sometime soon, hopefully. Right now it's time for Miguel to stump me, and he got a little fancy with it this time.
I just added a little opacity.
Yeah, little shadow there.
Yeah, a little
MVP,
dark.
5-time All Star, Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger, War number 22 for majority of his career with the excuse me, with the Pirates, with the Orioles. Is that the Orioles?
That would be the San Francisco Giants.
Okay, the Pirates, the Giants, is that the Yankees
That is the Yankees.
and the Phillies and
And the
the Astros? Is that the Astros when they're wearing gold and blue?
no, that would be the Brewers of Milwaukee.
So he played for the Pirates, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Brewers, and the who'd you say that was again?
Giants.
The Giants. Number 22. Can you give me his career span? Like what era was he in? He was an MVP. War number 22. Oh, I know who it is.
Who is it?
It's Kutch. Andrew McCutcheon. That's who it is. Put it up there. It's correct. It is. Andrew McCutcheon. I kind of had a feeling that's who it was. I just had to remember who the MVP was. Yeah, Andrew McCutcheon.
So do
And
you
I
think
was a fan of his, man, but his career went down with the Phillies after he got hurt when Gene Segura didn't run out that ball to second base and he had to stop and turn around and messed up his knee and just everything just kind of went south after that for him, unfortunately.
I still wanted I wanted the Phillies to keep him because he was a great clubhouse guy. I thought.
Oh, yeah, I thought so too. I
Do
felt
you
the
like
same.
do you like him better with or without the dreads?
Um, I I was a fan of the dreads because that wasn't something you saw very often in baseball at the time when he
At the
came in
time,
with it.
yeah,
Now you see it a little more now. And I thought it was kind of like one of those things that identified that set him apart from other people
yeah.
with those dreads. But yeah, he was a fun Philly to have on the team. I didn't know he played for the Giants though. That one threw me off.
So the Giants and the Yankees were, I think, I think he actually played for the Giants for 2 years and the Yankees for one, and then we signed him for three.
And I remember him playing for the Yankees. I remember the Brewers was this year. Of course, I remember him playing he was the MVP when he played for the Steelers. I keep saying the Steelers. He was MVP when he played for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also, if I'm not mistaken, he was also on the
Cover.
World Baseball Classic team
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was he on the team that won? I don't think he was on the team that won.
I
Or
don't
was he on
remember.
the
I don't
team?
remember anybody on the team. I don't remember any World Baseball Classic team winning except for Puerto Rico.
Well, the United States had a team that won.
Right. But I don't
Last one,
remember
or
anything. I don't remember watching any of those games. I think this year I'll be more in tune to the.
yeah, I'll probably watch a little bit more this year. But yeah, there you go, Andrew McCutcheon. I actually have one question for you. It's very easy, and I fully expect you to be able to answer it right away. But I kind of hope you don't. I kind of hope you have to think about it. Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
How good are you on your Willie Mays trivia? That good, huh? Okay.
I yeah, it depends on the era, I guess.
How many World Series did Willie Mays win?
Oh man, how many did he win?
How many did he win?
One.
One is correct. Do you know? Do you know how many he went to?
51, 62, 72, 73. Three.
Let me see. I actually got to. I don't know the answer to that, but I think you're
Yeah.
right. I just realized after I asked, I was, you
I
know what? I
love
don't
that.
know the answer
And
to
the
that.
answer is I don't know.
I think he did go because he went to one with the New
He
York
went
Giants.
he
Went
he
to
went
one with the
well
San Francisco Giants,
and then one with the New York Mets.
and then one with the New York Mets. So let me just let me
Oh
do
no,
the
no, wait. Shut up.
okay.
1, 2, 4. He lost to the Yankees in 51. He beat the Cleveland Indians in 54.
Hmm.
Lost to the Yankees again in 62 and lost to the A's in 73. That's 4.
That is correct. That is correct. And there one quick note. I remember you and I were talking one time. I think you and I were talking about it, and I know I was talking about it with R. Dot one time. The Oakland A's, Oakland Athletics, were once the Philadelphia Athletics,
Hmm.
but they did not go from Philadelphia to Oakland.
Correct.
That I didn't know. That I did not know. I did not know Oakland was. I mean, I did not know the Athletics went from Philly to Kansas City and then went to Oakland.
Yep.
But I always thought it was interesting that there was a Philadelphia basketball franchise and a Philadelphia baseball franchise. Both moved to the San Francisco area, or both moved to the Bay Area, the Oakland area. I always thought that was pretty interesting, and I always thought there might have been a connection there, but I
Because
don't think.
it was the Philadelphia Warriors. They moved to Oakland, right?
Yep, and that now known as the Golden State Warriors,
Right.
and were once known as the San Francisco Warriors.
Right.
So yeah, so that's interesting stuff. Um, well, that's all we got right now for the Check Swing Podcast, or this week for the Check Swing Podcast. We appreciate y'all checking us out. And of course, you know, we love y'all support. So please continue to support us and New Twist Radio by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/New Twist Radio, and you can check out all the Check Swing podcasts that we have done since our initial installment sometime in 2021. Is that when we started? 2021, I think is when we started. I think maybe we might have did one in like 2020, but I think we got on roll in 2021. Of course, you can check out all the shows that air on New Twist Radio there on our YouTube channel because we record them all. And of course, you have the 10-7 show. We have the Check Swing podcast. We have some of our intelligent ignorances over there. We have some of our Let's Not Argues over there, and some of our specials over there with Murder and Mayhem in Minutes. And we have a really, really good show over there called If We Did It. And if you are one of the people that are infatuated by the whole O.J. Simpson murder trial, all that, you definitely want to check that one out because we may have cracked the code on who actually committed those murders.
It was a
Me.
son. It was a son, wasn't it?
You got to go to the video and check it out. It's called
It
If
was
We Did It, and leave some comments. I mean, people are still, we did that in the summertime, and people are still commenting. I'm still getting emails and people commenting on it. It's
It
crazy.
was the guy walking the dog, wasn't it?
You got to check out the video.
It was Kato Kalin.
You got to check out the video. You got to check it out. I'm not going to say
he went to McDonald's.
Look, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us, and we'll talk to y'all next time right here on the Check Swing Podcast. We out of here. Peace.